Hi, my name is Stewart, co-president here at Guidebook. I joined the business back in 2015 and helped build the UK business from the ground up. I've always been passionate about events. My first job out of college, it was a sales role. I attended lots of different trade shows to find new business and build new relationships. And I realized then how special in-person events are. And so I'm very, very proud today to lead the business across the globe and to support our growth within the events industry, the education industry, supporting associations, and really getting the power of mobile into people's hands.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm the event and community manager here at Guidebook. I've been working in the event industry for over 10 years now, building events of all sizes all across the globe. I also was a Guidebook customer, launched mobile apps across hundreds of events over multiple years. And more recently, I've been leveraging the power of community for the event industry, but also within tech.
So, Nathan, you were one of my favorite customers back in 2016. You were running about 120 events a year in your Guidebook branded app. Be honest, how often did you actually look at the metrics of your events?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at them. We used them on a adoption-based way, but that was it, right? We weren't understanding the value of it at all.
So you were looking at like how many people downloaded the app?
Yeah, and comparing that with our own events. So finance events, we're using it less than marketing events. And we kind of stopped there.
Okay. And since then, well, you continue to use Guidebook for many years. You've used Guidebook at other companies and you've used other technologies. How has your thinking evolved on that? You know, are there specific things that you look at now that you wished you looked at back in 2016?
Thankfully, my thinking's changed quite a lot. The hard thing, especially back then and still true today, is events are fast paced. You know, I was an event organizer. I know event organizers. You're working on multiple projects at one time. Unless you understand the value of something, you're not going to stop and pause to reflect and to look at it. And that's what I was like back then. Whereas now, when I look at the Guidebook metrics for our customers and everything like that, the power of data that is in there, I have put out loads of feedback forms. Every event you do a feedback form. You've got 500 attendees and you're really glad when 50 people fill out your feedback form. And you're asking questions, you know, how was the venue? How was the speakers, sessions of your favorite sponsors, whatever, you know, by the time all the stakeholders have put their questions in, it's a very bloated feedback form. All the answers are in the app. You know, I can go into the back end and see the speaker that's been clicked on the most times. I can see the sessions that have been added to people's schedules the most or being viewed the most times, the sponsors that have been clicked on the most. I know how many people are connecting and sending chats. So all the things I'm trying to get people and incentivize people to give me through a feedback form is right in front of me.
Yeah.
And look, bias or not, it's very easy to digest that data in the Guidebook metrics backend. I just don't think people are aware of it. And I don't think people can break it down in a way that they see, oh yeah, actually I'm getting the answers I need right in front of my eyes. Yeah. So I think if you're going to do a feedback form, don't ask those questions. You know, ask 5 or 6 really important questions that are going to affect next year's event or whatever. But
yeah. I mean, I feel like event organizers are trying to find more data, right? More data is good. The more data I have, the more I understand this event, you know, the better the plan I can make for next time. But to me, just like they're ignoring what's under their nose. You know, if people are downloading these apps in advance, which they should be, and we are seeing across our customer base. You know, they're downloading them at a high clip, and we're seeing 94% average adoption across our guides. All the data that you're talking about, it's there. They don't need to go looking for it. They don't need to try and find it in feedback surveys or you know, beacon technology. You know, they have so much of it already there. You know, and I think hopefully what we can educate our customers on is just like how they tap into that, how they interpret it. You know, something that I talk about a lot and something that I get really excited about is when you purchase Guidebook, when you use Guidebook, you should not just be thinking about your next event. You should be thinking about the one after that event. You know, Guidebook will have a lot of value for your next event, but actually when you take those findings, when you really see what are people clicking on, what are they interested in, you're probably not going to pick that up in your feedback survey, right? You're going to know who attended which talk, but you're not going to know if they considered attending another talk but you can through the app data, right? Maybe there was a clash. Maybe your two sessions that were viewed the most actually clashed. And so people had to pick one, and one looks like it was unpopular, but actually could have been popular if it was on at a different time. And so when you're building your next event, you can take this real actionable data that's in our system and actually say, we need more speakers like this. We need more topics like this, more talks like this. We need more sponsors like this. And then the next time round, your event is better, delivers a stronger ROI to attendees and to sponsors.
100%. And every event, after dust settles and you travel home or wherever you need to get to, there's always a wash up or post-event meeting, and you're looking at next year, right? The minute one event ends, you start thinking about, where are we going to host it next year? What speakers were great? What sessions maybe didn't resonate, and how we can evolve the event. So these conversations are happening in all of our customers' business, but they're not fully maximizing the support that they have right in front of them to answer these questions. And I think your point there about interpretation is key. I think we as a business can guide people to interpret that data better and really understand what it means. I mean, there's questions that you're never going to ask people in a feedback form, which speakers did you like the least? But you'll get a sense of that through your app data. And
which topics are you not interested in?
Yeah.
You're not going to ask that.
And is there correlation, especially for bigger events? If you've got multiple tracks, that's a lot of sessions. So at very best, people are going to give you their favorite session within each track. But if you look at one track and it's consistently underperforming on views, schedule ads, whatever that may be, you go, okay, we got that wrong. That's fine. But let's not do that next year. But let's go and ask people now. Now we understand what was good and bad, what we can do to replace the bad. We've made that assumption rather than kind of getting our one shot to get information through feedback. With no assumption, we can actually interpret this data and ask better questions. And that's what feedback forms are about, asking the right question.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I would add on event feedback, I attended an event fairly recently, got an email 2 days after I'd got home, and I think it was a 40 question survey, but it was a single track event. There were about 16 sessions over the 2 days, but there was a question for each session, like how do you rate it out of 5? Then there was a question for, do you have any feedback? So 32 of the questions were specifically about how was this session and what feedback do you have? Yeah, I've seen people using an app, and they've created a session feedback survey. And at the end of every single session, there is a slide up that says, it might be a QR code on there, or it will just be directions to say, open the app, click on the session, please leave feedback, right? Great if you've got a QR code, because people can just scan the code, go straight to the place in the app. And right then, when it's most fresh, they can give a rating out of 5. They can, multiple choice, whatever you want them to do. And they can give some feedback there and then. That is way more powerful, way more valuable. I think you'll get more feedback if you do that. And the feedback it's not muddled, right? You're not kind of like, oh, hang on, was that session or that session? Did they ramble on in this one? I can't quite remember. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for organizers to do more with feedback using an app.
And definitely. And just to kind of finish off, coming back to the data or the data that's in the back end, like I've been guilty of it, as I mentioned before. There are a lot of stakeholders in events. The sponsorship team wants to know information about the sponsors. The content team wants to know about the sessions. The attendee team wants to know about networking and engagement, etc. Ops want to know about the venue, the food and beverage. This all exists in the app. So you need to incentivize your team to kind of come in and interpret that data as well, right? They all have access. They can all kind of work on the different components of the event, and it's there. The sponsorship person can go and demonstrate that ROI the next day after the event before we've even had to wait for feedback, and we have enough feedback to ensure that it's good data. It's there. It's ready to go. Get that in front of your sponsors. That's going to help your renewal conversation or anything like that. So I do think, if anyone does have questions, we've got a lot of information around how to interpret this data. And I think it's a great opportunity to reach out to us or your account executive at Guidebook, because it's a very powerful tool and we want people to use it.